What's happening, you guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, the NHL regular season is upon us. So we're 2 days away now from opening night in the NHL, and the Montreal Canadiens have finalized their 23-man roster, and Matthias Norlinder and Emil Heineman being sent down to Laval, as we know, getting down to the final cuts at Habs training camp. And what a training camp Norlinder had. I know that I said yesterday that he has earned his spot with the Montreal Canadiens, but the timing isn't quite right yet, I'm realizing. And it makes sense after you consider that Mike Matheson is going to start the season for the Montreal Canadiens and be their power play quarterback, at least on the defensive end for the Montreal Canadiens. Also going to see Arbor Jacki on the second power play unit, at least according to practice today. So, and that's the way it looks. Martin St. Louis basically confirming how much he likes Arbor Jacki's shot, and the fact that it actually gets through. It's a wicked wrister. It's not just about his slap shot. That's what you need. You need to get pucks through. And I thought Norlinder did a good job of that in training camp, but he's going to get great minutes, great reps in Laval. His career is still very, very young, as we know, with the injury situation he's dealt with over the past 3 seasons. Therefore, it's still a smart move to put him down in Laval and wait for the proper time to bring him up with the Canadiens, pending everyone stays healthy. All right, so let's talk about this Canadiens lineup. We've got a full lineup, right, guys? So this is exciting. It's time now to really discuss the nitty-gritty about who's going to start this season with the Habs, and we've got ourselves a lineup. So on line number 1, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, no surprise, with Josh Anderson. So some questions maybe around the decision for Josh Anderson, but at the same time, I think I understand it from the Canadiens' end in terms of a guy that's going to play with this line and be able to keep up with their foot speed and also just add to it, frankly, with Josh Anderson being as fast as he is, the power horse that we have come to know. 6'3" Josh Anderson, over 220 pounds, a guy that really wants to take a step this season with the Canadiens, and a guy who's under contract for another 3 to 4 seasons with the Canadiens still. And it's clear that they wanted to hang on to him, and they're certainly showing it by putting him on the top line to start this season, right? We all thought Alex Newhook had a pretty good chance to be there, but I think it's a lot to ask of Newhook, really, to start the season on the top line with the Montreal Canadiens coming in as a new guy who's got a lot of reasonably high expectations after having the Canadiens part with a first and second round pick to get him. So anyways, now we're going to talk about, well, I think I want to discuss the Anderson line a little bit more because, why Josh Anderson on that first line, right? Because we know his foot speed's there, but we also know that he's going to potentially be a really strong puck retriever for Caulfield and Suzuki while they try to create offense. And a guy that can also back check too, a guy that can play physical. Josh will stick it. He does so many things well. That's why the Canadiens want to hang on to him. He's also a leader on top of that. Brings a lot of intangibles, but you want to see him put up some points this year too. You want to see him help create space for Nick and Cole to do what they do best. And frankly, Nick Suzuki does that all on his own anyway, creating space and making just smart, brilliant plays out there. And Cole Caulfield's Cole Caulfield. He's a goal scorer, but also we know Cole's going to get better on both sides of the puck too. And also he's a great passer. He's a great playmaker, is Caulfield. And he knows how to turn the puck up the other way when the puck starts in the Canadiens' own end, right? So let's go to the second line where Alex Newhook does find himself on the left side with Kirby Dach at center and Slavkovsky on the right. They played pretty good in training camp in the preseason. So I think that the Canadiens liked what they saw enough to try to see what these guys can do when the games really matter here in the regular season to start things off. We're all looking forward to seeing Slav season. You guys know me. It's the funniest story. It'll forever be the funniest story that I said to take Shane Wright. I'll always talk about it. It's just fun. But I got his jersey now. That's the main thing. So Kirby Dach centering the second line for the Montreal Canadiens. Another huge opportunity for him to start this season off right where he left off, with a really decent year coming into the new fold with the Canadiens last year. And let's see what this line can do. A combination of a speedy Alex Newhook, a crafty, strong, a guy who hopefully gets better in the faceoff dot, and Kirby Dach. Slavkovsky coming into his sophomore year. Not even going to say the sophomore you-know-what word. So I think this is a real good opportunity to see what these guys can bring against some top-tier talent on the second line in the NHL. Third line is where it gets interesting, because I didn't think this line was going to stick together with newcomer Tanner Pearson on the left side, with Sean Monahan now as the third-line center. I mean, in terms of depth, you got to love Sean Monahan as your third-line center. That's a good thing. Christian Dvorak being out of the lineup is part of that decision, but then you've also got Brendan Gallagher on the right side. So this lineup is a line that Marty St. Louis knows is going to be reliable and trustworthy because of the veteran experience that all three of these guys have. So I didn't know if this was going to stick together really, but based on what they saw, they liked it. It's going to be the most responsible of the three lines for the Montreal Canadiens. One of them more reliable in terms of maybe some checking, but also going to hopefully bring in a little bit of offense too. And with Sean Monahan at center, you have to hope so. And you hope Brandon Gallagher has a good season. We all know the cap hit with Gally, right? We all know that we just don't know what to expect with Gally with the injury history and everything. But you know what? Let's give these guys a shot to see how they roll things out and start the season together. I'm looking forward to seeing that line. On the fourth line, whether you like him on the fourth line or not, or do you think he deserves to be in the third line, Harvey Pinard starts this season with the Montreal Canadiens. Last season, he did not. He did not quite make the cut. So Raphael Harvey Pinard on your fourth line, I like the sounds of it in terms of being able to play against maybe the lower tier lines of the NHL. Jake Evans at center, no surprise. Veteran now, Jake Evans. And then, as I mentioned, Yoel Armia was put on waivers yesterday and is now sent to the Laval Rocket, a demotion. And Jesse Ullinen, not Ylonen, Ullinen, is going to take that place on the fourth line. Now, did I see a ton from Ullinen in terms of offensively in the preseason? No, but he's on the fourth line. He's a checker. He's going to play some penalty kill time, but by the sounds of it, that's the minutes he got in preseason. And hearing him talk really for the first time today, which is weird, in the media scrums, and like, you saw the compete level, right? There's got to be a chair for everybody, as Martin St. Louis has pointed out. And to me, this guy, Jesse Ullinen, fits into this chair on the fourth line of a forechecker, maybe not a forechecker, a checker, a guy who can check, a guy who can hopefully eventually start to bring a little bit of offense. And we haven't seen enough of it yet. Hopefully we will from him. But Jake Evans at center, a steady fourth line defenseman. Raphael Harvey Pinard on the left, a guy who's going to just play hard every shift, who can play like Brendan Gallagher does a little bit, digging pucks, going to the dirty areas, going to the front of the net. Then Mike Pezzetta rotating in with Ullinen on the fourth line. Pez, we all love Pez. Let's talk about the defense lines really quickly. Mike Matheson, no surprise, on your top pairing with David Savard. Like this pairing to start the season, two veteran, solid defensemen on either side that are going to help lead the way for these Canadiens and for these young defenders behind them, starting with on the second pair, Caden Gooley and Jonathan Kovacevic, who earned himself a promotion to the second pairing this season. That's what happens when you do one-take videos. You stutter a little bit. Arbor Jackeye on the left, who's going to see power play minutes on the second unit, and then Kovacevic, who again looked really strong, really steady, playing super confident. Looks like a veteran NHL defenseman at this point. He's not that young either. So, I mean, he's a big dude too. So I think that Gooley Kovacevic, whether it's Gooley Kovacevic or Jackeye Kovacevic, either one of those two can play with him. And then on the third pair, you've got Jackeye with Jordan Harris and rotating with Justin Barron, who has cracked the Canadiens roster as your seventh defenseman, likely going to rotate with Jordan Harris. And, Martin St. Louis answering Arpon Basu's question today in the media, saying how he hasn't decided whether Jordan Harris or Justin Barron is going to be the seventh defenseman. I think it's pretty clear Jordan Harris will likely start this season, but Justin Barron, I don't know if I said those names wrong, but yeah, Jordan Harris is going to start the season. Justin Barron is likely going to rotate in and out with Jordan Harris. These guys are both young. They can rotate in and out. And I understand the decision in terms of a confidence lift for Justin Barron, as Eric Engels alluded to, as to why they made this decision for Justin Barron. He did start the preseason off better than last year. He was more assertive, as he mentioned in his interview today. He was more confident. So he's got work to do, but they're going to give him reps. They're going to give an opportunity to prove himself at this level. Still only 21 years old, Justin Barron is, right? Now, here's where it's most interesting for the goaltending for the Canadiens this season, I think, because they decided not to waive Caden Primo. He's still a Montreal Canadien, and he's going to start the season with the Montreal Canadiens for the first time. The Canadiens are going with three goaltenders, which is basically unprecedented, at least in recent memory for me, going with Sam Montembeault, Jake Allen, and Caden Primo to start the season. When his name gets called, Caden said he's going to be ready. And another opportunity to really prove himself. Jacob Dobesh probably going to take that starting role in Laval, most likely, and maybe Quentin Miller as the backup in Laval. We'll see what happens there. But when it comes to the Canadiens, this is a big opportunity for Caden Primo to still prove himself and have a chance to silence some doubters if he can have some solid starts to begin the season. Because, if he has a bad first two games, whenever those starts come, it's going to be a challenge for him to maintain his position with the Canadiens. And he's going to have to go through waivers to go back to Laval, and he might get claimed, right? So you have to think the Canadiens are doing right by players like Caden Primo and Justin Barron by keeping them here to give them a bit of a lift to say, hey, you know what? You didn't have a perfect preseason by any stretch. However, we saw enough that we still believe in you. I like that little confidence move from the Canadiens. All right, guys, that's all I got. Give me your thoughts on the lineup for the Canadiens for opening night. We're going to get more into it. Shane Gaumont is going to join me Wednesday on the day of opening day in the NHL. Well, technically it's Tuesday, but the Canadiens' first game is Wednesday. So Shane Gaumont, formerly of Habs Tonight and currently of the Sick podcast, joining me for another full episode. It's been a while since Shane and I have been together on a show. So let's do this and get ready for the season, guys. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of the lineup. What do you like? What do you not like? What would you change? Bring it all in, guys. It's time to start this season. Let's get it going. Go Habs, go. We'll see you guys real soon.